All right, you guys, I'm here with your reading of chapter 3 of Anthem. Just a quick recap of our last couple of chapters, chapter 1 and 2. What we just need to focus on as your big idea is that equality is starting to come into his own. He is, although aware of the laws of his society, he's beginning to realize that the laws have no end except to keep people oppressed and to keep them down and to keep them from realizing their true gifts and realizing true happiness. Um, while he learns these um, realities, he also falls in love with liberty and has renamed her the Golden One. And he seems to be in a really good place emotionally, despite the challenges that he faces with doing the right thing or what he believes is the right thing and following the rules of society versus doing the right thing, which is following his heart. So he's at a fork in the road with those thoughts. We don't want to neglect that flashback that we received at the end of chapter 2, where if you look at the pictures here, where we have the reminder of the, as he called him, the saint of the pyre, who was burned for uttering the unspeakable word. And at that moment, Equality says he felt like it's his life's purpose to figure out what the unspeakable word is. So here we are. I am going to pick up with your reading of chapter 3 now. And we're on page 52. We, Equality 7-52-1, have discovered a new power of nature, and we have discovered it alone, and we are alone to know it. It is said, now let us be lashed for it if we must. The Council of Scholars has said that we all know the things which exist, and therefore the things which are not known by all do not exist. But we think that the Council of Scholars is blind. The secrets of this earth are not for all men to see, but only for those who will seek them. We know, for we have found a secret unknown to all our brothers. So what we look and understand here is that he's elevating in his confidence and in his boldness even here at this place. He's not regretting his statement anymore, and he's not being polite about it either. Very direct and very clear in saying that they are silly for refusing to seek deeper knowledge of the things that are unknown. Continuing with the last paragraph, we know not what this power is nor whence it comes, but we know its nature. We have watched it and worked with it. We saw it first 2 years ago. One night, we were cutting open the body of a dead frog when we saw its leg jerking. It was dead, yet it moved. Some power unknown to men was making it move. We could not understand it. Then, after many tests, we found the answer. The frog had been hanging on a wire of copper, and it had been the metal of our knife which had sent a strange power to the copper through the brine of the frog's body. We put a piece of copper and a piece of zinc into a jar of brine, and we touched a wire to them, and there, under our fingers, was a miracle which had never occurred before, a new miracle and a new power. This discovery haunted us. We followed it in preference to all our studies. We worked with it. We tested it in more ways than we can describe, and each step was another miracle unveiling before us. We came to know that we had found the greatest power on earth, for it defies all the laws known to men. It makes the needle move and turn on the compass which we stole from the home of the scholars. But we had been taught when still a child that the lodestone points to the north, and that this is a law which nothing can change. Yet, our new power defies all laws. We found that it causes lightning And never have men known what causes lightning. In thunderstorms, we raised a tall rod of iron by the side of our hole, and we watched it from below. We have seen the lightning strike it again and again. And now we know that metal draws the power of the sky, and that metal can be made to give it forth. We have built strange things with this discovery of ours. We used it for the copper wires which we found here under the ground. We have walked the length of our tunnel with a candle lighting the way. We could go no farther than half a mile, for earth and rock had fallen at both ends. But we gathered all the things we found, and we brought them to our workplace. We found strange boxes with bars of metal inside, with many cords and strands and coils of metal. We found wires that led to strange little globes of glass on the walls. They contained threads of metal thinner than a spider's web. These things help us in our work. We do not understand them, but we think that the men of the unmentionable times had known our power of the sky, and these things had some relation to it. We do not know, but we shall learn. We cannot stop now, even though it frightens us that we are alone in our knowledge. No single one can possess greater wisdom than the many scholars who are elected by all men for their wisdom. Yet we can. We do. We have fought against saying it, but now it is said. We do not care. We forget all men, all laws, and all things save our metals and our wires. So much is still to be learned. So long a road lies before us, and what care if we must travel it alone? So here we see equality transforming again, and every chapter seems to give us this new depth to this character. So who before just simply observed and had very quiet thoughts regarding those around him is now, he's writing it in his journal, so it's no longer just an inner thought, because he's making it visible and making it boldly clear that he basically thinks everybody around him, they're all fools, and that, of course, he's stronger and more intelligent and braver than everybody else around him. He says that here when he says that we fought against saying it, but now it is said. We do not care. We forget all men, all laws, and all things save our metal and our wires. So he's like, nothing else matters except his studies. He is determined to figure things out, which is beautiful because he has this hunger for knowledge, despite the law saying he cannot learn and pursue knowing. I'm going to go ahead without pausing and continue reading into chapter 4 because it's another really short chapter. So let's go ahead and pick up there on page 55. Many days passed before we could speak to the golden one again. But then came the day when the sky turned white, as if the sun had burst and spread its flame in the air, and the fields lay still without breath, and the dust of the road was white in the glow. So the women of the field were weary, and they tarried over their work, and they were far from the road when we came. But the golden one stood alone at the hedge, waiting. We stopped, and we saw that their eyes, so hard and scornful to the world, were looking at us as if they could obey any word we might speak. And we said, "We have given you a name in our thoughts, Liberty 5-3000. "What is our name?" they asked. "The Golden One." "Nor do we call you Equality 7-2521 when we think of you." "What name have you given us?" They looked straight into our eyes, and they held their head high, and they answered, "The Unconquered." For a long time we could not speak. Then we said, "Such thoughts as these are forbidden, Golden One." "But you think such thoughts as these, and you wish us to think them." We looked into their eyes, and we could not lie. "Yes," we whispered, and they smiled. And then we said, "Our dearest one, do not obey us." They stepped back, and their eyes were wide and still. "Speak these words again," they whispered. "Which words?" we asked. But they did not answer, and we knew it. Our dearest one, we whispered. Never have men said this to women. The head of the golden one bowed slowly, and they stood still before us, their arms at their sides, the palms of their hands turned to us, as if their body were delivered in submission to our eyes, and we could not speak. Then they raised their head, and they spoke simply and gently, as if they wished us to forget some anxiety of their own. The day is hot, they said, and you have worked for many hours, and you must be weary. No, we answered. It is cooler in the fields, they said, and there is water to drink. Are you thirsty? Yes, we answered, but we cannot cross the hedge. We shall bring the water to you, they said. Then they knelt by the moat. They gathered water in their 2 hands. They rose, and they held the water out to our lips. We do not know if we drank the water. We only knew suddenly that their hands were empty, but we were still holding our lips to their hands, and that they knew it, but did not move. We raised our head and stepped back, for we did not understand what had made us do this, and we were afraid to understand it. And the golden one stepped back, and stood looking upon their hands in wonder. Then the golden one moved away, even though no others were coming, and they moved stepping back, as if they could not turn from us, their arms bent before them, as if they could not lower their hands. So just another add-on to that love story between now the unconquered and the golden one. We see that they have totally forgotten about everything and everyone around them in order to have this private moment together. And it was meant to be a very beautiful and symbolic moment between the two of them, this expression of love and this giving to each other of their attention and of their lives, really, because they're both risking here at this point to touch each other. The touch that we read about there, of course, is that not one that would have happened any other way. And so we do see that they are certainly connected here beyond any others have probably been before. Okay, we're going to shift and continue with chapter 5 because once again it's a really short one. So let's go ahead and read this one, and that will probably take us to the end of our reading. We made it. We created it. We brought it forth from the night of the ages. We alone, our hands, our mind, ours alone and only. We know not what we are saying. Our head is reeling. We look upon the light which we have made. We shall be forgiven for anything we say tonight. Tonight, after more days and trials than we can count, we finish building a strange thing from the remains of the unmentionable times, a box of glass devised to give forth the power of the sky of greater strength than we had ever achieved before. And when we put our wires to this box, and when we closed the current, the wire glowed. It came to life, it turned red, and a circle of light lay on the stone before us. We stood, and we held our head in our hands. We could not conceive of that which we had created. We had touched no flint, made no fire. Yet here was light that came from nowhere, light from the heart of metal. We blew out the candle. Darkness swallowed us. There was nothing left around us, nothing save night and a thin thread of flame in it, as a crack in the wall of the prison. We stretched our hand to the wire, and we saw our fingers in the red glow. We could not see our body nor feel it, and in that moment nothing existed save our 2 hands over a wire glowing in a black abyss. Then we thought of the meaning of that which lay before us. We can light our tunnel and the city and all the cities of the world with nothing save metal and wires. We can give our brothers a new light, cleaner and brighter than any they have ever known. The power of the sky can be made to do men's bidding. There are no limits to its secrets and its might, and it can be made to grant us anything if we but choose to ask. Now let's just stop there, because he in this moment is thinking of, a better world, almost a brave new world here where their light is available, and a different life for everyone will be available. But in that last sentence, it says, there can be no limits to its secrets and its might, and it can be made to grant us anything if we but choose to ask. So let's think on that line a little bit. What is the one thing that he believes that this box of light will be able to grant him? Almost as if it's a key to this new world that he wants, and the new life that he hopes to achieve. Okay. So if we're sitting and pausing, I'm hoping that you're thinking of his life with the golden wine. Okay. That's the only thing really he desires except to be able to study. So he can either ask for, his own lab, or he can ask for his woman, or he can ask for both, because he says there it can be made to grant us anything. Okay, so let's keep reading and see what he thinks about this. Then we knew what we must do. Our discovery is too great for us to waste our time in sweeping the streets. We must not keep our secret to ourselves, not buried under the ground. We must bring it into the sight of men. We need all our time. We need the work rooms of the home of the scholars. We want the help of our brother scholars in their wisdom joined towers. There is so much work ahead for all of us, for all the scholars of the world. So here we go. One thing he desires is to be, of course, able to go to the home of the scholars, which he's wanted since he was a 15-year-old boy. So we see here that's definitely something that he aims for. In a month, the World Council of Scholars is to meet in our city. It is a great council to which the wisest of all the lands are elected, and it meets once a year in the different cities of the earth. We shall go to this council, and we shall lay before them as our gift the glass box with the power of the sky. We shall confess everything to them. They will see, understand, and forgive. For our gift is greater than our transgression. They will explain it to the Council of Vocations, and we shall be assigned to the home of the scholars. This has never been done before, but neither has a gift such as ours ever been offered to men. So he's planning this all out. I'm sure we've all been in a place where we have planned so clearly what we want to happen, top to bottom. So this is really interesting how he's laid this entire plan out. We must wait. We must guard our tunnel as we had never guarded it before. For should any men, save the scholars, learn of our secret, they would not understand it, nor would they believe us. They would see nothing save our crime of working alone, and they would destroy us and our light. We care not about our own body, but our light is... Yes, we do care. For the first time do we care about our body. For this wire is as a part of our body, as a vein torn from us, glowing with our blood. Are we proud of this metal of thread, or of our hands which made it? Or is there a line to divide these two? We stretch out our arms. For the first time do we know how strong our arms are. And a strange thought comes to us. We wonder, for the first time in our life, what we look like. Men never see their own faces and never ask their brothers about it, for it is evil to have concern for their own faces or bodies. But tonight, for a reason we cannot fathom, we wish it were possible to us to know the likeness of our own person. Alrighty. And so there we have the end of this chapter here, where he is inspired by himself and proud of himself. And in that, he is interested in himself in a way that he has not been able to explore previously. We see all these changes and challenges taking place here because equality is, once again, creating his own world. And in that world, he's developing new interests and developing new passions that he never knew existed before. This will be really interesting to see what happens when he is able to share his vision with the World Council. And so we'll read on to see what happens next. All right.